today's the day. I'm finally going to start the project that I've been kind of hinting at, which is called shelf control. As I've shared in my 2025 goals, I'm trying to get my TBR down to 50 by the end of the year. I honestly couldn't tell you at this moment how many books that I have that are unread. I'm going to have Editing Gabby go ahead and put that number up here at the time of this video the video is published, but I have quite a few books. I want to say it's over 100, and that is completely unacceptable for me. Personally, I'm running out of room on my shelves, and so I really need to go through my books to see which ones that I want to keep, which ones I need to get rid of. And also I have a lot of unread books that I just need to figure out if I'm going to read them or get rid of them. And so we're going to have episode 1 be read or unhaul. I have a stack of books that are right below here that you can't see, but that I will show you, that I have picked up in the past through various, escapades that were gifted to me, arcs, all those things that I just have not felt the urge to read. And so I feel like I just need to try a chapter or 2 or 3 and figure out, is this going to be a book for me, or should I just let it go, like Keisha Cole said. So these are the books that I am going to be reading over the next however many weeks in this vlog episode. And I'm going to let you know whether I'm keeping them, going to continue reading them later on, and if I'm going to get rid of them. So first up is the book Thief by Marcus Suzak. And this is obviously, it's a 20th anniversary edition or something like that, or 10th anniversary, something. But it says the #1 New York Times bestseller. I have heard nothing but good things about this book. I've seen a lot of, there's an adaptation. One of my friends actually that goes to my church, she has brought up that she loved this book. So that's the only reason why I'm still holding on to it. Excuse me. But honestly, I look at this book and I just don't feel the urge to pick it up. So I'm thinking that if I read this book, and then, or at least start to read it, read a chapter or 2, I'll figure out, okay, is this a book for me, or should I just either put it down for a later time, or like a soft DNF, or if it's like a sure no go and I need to get rid of it. Next is The Russian Doll by Kristen Losk. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this, but this is a book that I picked up from Book of the Month, as you saw by the little, emblem there. And I think I just needed to pick up a book for March of 2023 at the time, and I wanted to pick up a historical fiction book. There were other books that were up to be picked for that month that just did not interest me, so I just was like, let me pick up a tried and true. I love historical fiction, it's my favorite genre, and I picked this one up. But since I picked this up, it's been over 2 years now, and I have not had any desire to read this. So again, gonna give this a try and see how it goes. Next is Reacher, The Sentinel, by Lee Child and Andrew Child. I watched 2 of the Jack Reacher movies and liked them. I watched season 1 of Reacher, enjoyed it, watched most of season 2, and I did enjoy it. I just, for some reason, did not get back to it. Season 3 came, I saw a couple episodes, my husband finished it. He keeps doing that. He keeps finishing the seasons without me, but that's fine. It's really fine. I guess in the same breath, I got this book, I think at a garage sale, and it was around the time that I had watched one of the Reacher movies. So I was like, this is the book. So I love the adaptation. Maybe I'll read the book, but I have not picked it up yet. Let's see if I like this book when I actually get to it. Next is David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants by Malcolm Gladwell. I was intrigued. By this. I don't know if he's a Christian or not, or a believer, but I have heard of his name a lot. He's written a lot of books, and I'm interested in obviously the David and Goliath story. Yeah, he's Jamaican. His mom is Jamaican. His mom actually wrote a book about her moving from Jamaica to England, I believe. Yeah, was it England or Canada? I don't remember. But moving from Jamaica and then starting a life. She actually, I believe, got her doctorate and everything. So I was interested in reading that book a lot more than reading this book. I can't even read her book because it's out of print, I believe, but haven't been intrigued to read this, but we'll see. This might change with this challenge. Next is Cold-Blooded Liar by Karen Rose. I was in the mood for a thriller. I don't know what I was watching or reading or listening to, but I was in the mood for a thriller, so I decided to request to get this because I believe this is following a detective. Yeah, it's a psychologist and a detective, homicide detective, that are working together to solve a case. So I'm interested in those kind of stories most times. I used to be an avid true crime podcast listener when I was in my previous job driving around a lot. I don't listen to true crime quite as much anymore, but I still am interested in crime stories, shows, that type of thing. So we'll see. Next we have The Guest Room by Tasha Sylvia. This is an advanced reader's copy that I got. I believe I got this with, oh yes, I got this with Did You Hear About Kitty Carr? And yeah, we're not gonna talk about that book. Let's talk about this book. It looks like a thriller. I decided to keep it because it sounded interesting. Oh, the author is currently based in the southwest of England after living in London, Scotland, and southern Spain. This is her debut novel. Okay, I think that's part of it too. This is her debut novel. It's a thriller book, so I think I'm going to, at some point, pick this up and see if I like it. Next up, bargain book find at Ollie's. Shout out to Ollie's. Mirage by Samaya Dowd, and I don't know anything about this book at all. I think it's a fantasy. That's all I know. It's a fantasy. It's been blurred by a lot of people. Oh my gosh, it was blurred by Saba Tahir, who I love, obviously. So blurred by Saba Tahir, blurred by Tiara Mafi, blurbed by Roshni Chokshi, and by Renee Adeye. Yes, so blurred by a lot of people that I respect, but I literally don't know anything about this book. I think it's a standalone fantasy book. I'm not 100% sure, but that's all I know about this book. I hope that I like this because it's blurred by a lot of people that I've read their books and I enjoy. So we'll see. Caraval. Do we even need to have any explanation for this book? Any words at all? I have seen this book. I've seen this book everywhere. People love this book. This is all over Book Talk, all over Bookstagram. Anyone who's getting into fantasy for the first time, they read this book and say, oh my gosh, it's amazing. And they read all the books by Stephanie Garber. Got this from Pango and I was like, oh, like fantasy book and it's really popular. Let me give it a try. For some reason, I should have known this. Like, I don't read hyped books. I really don't. Like when a book is really hyped, I don't really gravitate towards it. I really gravitate towards books that are either blurred by people that I've read their books before and I really enjoyed, or it is a book by an author that I've previously enjoyed. So, or it's in a genre, or there's some like multi-generational family saga or historical fiction set in 18th century London. And yeah, all those little things make me more interested in a book. So this, I should have known that this is gonna sit on my shelf for a long time. So I hope I like this. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. A garage sale find that I picked up, and my mother is a English teacher, and shout out to you, Mom, I love you. And she read this book with her students, and she said it was good. She enjoyed it. It was sad, obviously. There were points where her students were crying, where she would tear up. I've never read a John Green book before, but I know he's a very well-known author. This is one of his most popular books. I believe my cousin read this book as well and loved it. I think did she read the book or she watched the movie? I think she watched the movie and loved it. I don't know if she read the book, but yeah, another very popular book that is very hyped and is still unread. And the popular books keep on rolling. So The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes is probably one of the most hyped books that I've ever owned. And I still have not read this book. This one I'm a little bit more looking forward to getting back into. And I say getting back because I actually purchased this book from my local used bookstore. And literally one of my favorite things to do is go into a used bookstore, particularly one in particular. going to the one that I frequent and picking up a bunch of books and then just sitting and reading like a couple chapters, pretty much doing what I'm planning on doing with these books, but with books before I purchase them, and seeing if I am gonna like this book or if I should just put it back. I do a try a chapter kind of tag with books before I purchase them typically, and I did it with this book. I read the first 2 chapters, I think, and I did really like it. I bought it still unread. Nefertiti, Unlocking the Mystery Surrounding Egypt's Most Famous and Beautiful Queen by Joyce Delsey. This is a little bit different. This is more like a, I don't know if I actually read this book. I've had this book literally since I was a kid. Like I got this from my childhood home, going through my stuff that I had left at my parents' house. And I brought this up back with me because I don't remember if I read this or not. I think I read a couple chapters of it, but I don't remember if I actually finished it. And I don't remember anything. I don't remember anything that I read in this book. Fun fact about me, I wanted to be an Egyptologist when I was growing up, like for a very long time. Like, you know how you have things where you're like, oh, you know, I want to be a firefighter and it lasts like a month. Or I want to be a, you know, dancer and it lasts like a week. I want to be an Egyptologist for a good 5 or 6 years. So, which is a long time, very long time. So I got this book from Barnes & Noble with my dad, and then I remember reading some of it and then I probably stopped. And so now I get to look at it with fresh eyes as an adult and see if this is gonna stay on my shelves or if I'm gonna let it go. Like I let go of that Egyptologist aspiration. Lastly, is Wild Company, The Untold Story of Banana Republic, Mel and Patricia Ziegler, founders of Banana Republic. So I got this from a little free library. I had never even heard of this book before, and I was really intrigued because I do like Banana Republic. I like the clothes there, at the style of Banana Republic, and this was just a story about, you know, I guess the owners and how they came up with the brand itself. So yeah, I think I don't even know if I read a couple pages of it before I picked it up or decided to take it home. I think I just saw that it was about Banana Republic and them starting this company, and so I picked it up. But yeah, I have not picked it up since. It's been at least a year and a half, and it's just been kind of on my shelves for the longest time. So we shall see about this one. So we are going to do something really cool. I'm going to do a random number generator, and then we're going to figure out which book I'm going to read first in this vlog. Let's see how many books this is. So you can't really see all of them, and I don't know if I'll be able to hold them up like this. We'll see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, 12 books. We're going to go from 1 to 12. Can you see? I hope you can see that. And so we're going to see which one. 11. Oh gosh. So number 11 is the Jack Reacher book. We're going to be reading The Sentinel by Lee Child and Andrew Child. So at least reading the first couple chapters and then seeing if this is a banger or a bust. So I'll check in with you guys once I finish those chapters. Alrighty, so I have an update. I have read about 40 pages of The Sentinel by Lee Child, and I will be continuing. I do like this story so far. If I just read the first chapter, I probably would just put it down and not get back to it because it was a bit slow. But once I was introduced to a few other characters and got more acquainted with the town, I think that this book is going to be set in. So this will be one that I will keep, and now I need to find another book to get rid of. Ooh. With that, all the books just fell. It's okay. With that, let's reacquaint ourselves with the stack. So I got 11 books now. You see, 11 books that I need to pick from. And we're going to be using the random number generator once again. And so we got, let's see if it's going to focus or no. All right, as you see, we have 10 right now currently there. I don't know how I can fix the brightness. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and hit generate 3. Okay, number 3 is Wild Company, The Untold Story of Banana Republic by Mel and Patricia Ziegler, who are the founders of Banana Republic. But yeah, so yeah, that's the next book in this challenge, and I will come back with another update when I have read those 50 pages or less. Hello, I am back with another update on my reading. So I did read, I think it was 30 pages of Wild Company. And as you can see, there is no bookmark because I have decided to DNF this book and unhaul it. Overall, the first pages were pretty good. We got an introduction to this couple and their past as both writers and a writer and an illustrator at a newspaper. And then we got to see more about how they created Banana Republic, how they came up with the name Banana Republic. And while some of the things that they were able to do and their boldness and their willingness just to try something else and just create a new life for themselves was very admirable, there were certain things about the story, one, that I just wasn't clicking with, not gravitating towards, and I just was coming to the book every time that I was reading a couple more pages where I felt like I was making myself read, and I never want to feel that way when I'm reading a book. When I'm feeling like it's not working for me, or if it feels like I'm reading as a chore, like I read for enjoyment. So I just didn't really like that. So one of the things was that the way they came up with this name, and obviously I think that the author might be a little bit satirical in the way that he was coming across with it. But he essentially was saying that they came up with the name Banana Republic because they would collect a bunch of different pieces of clothing and kind of revamp it. And then their job is to, not job, but their point was that they were trying to resell it. And they were doing that with a lot of different fatigues and old or vintage, I guess, or thrifted clothes that they would get from surplus stores. So safari surplus as well as military surplus. And so essentially Republic is supposed to represent the tropical countries that were, dealing with political unrest. They had a bunch of extra leftover, military fatigues that are no longer needed. So I don't know, for me personally, I think this might be me with my bias kind of creeping in, but as a person who is descendant from, Jamaican parents with a husband that is descendant from Haitian parents, personally, I felt, I don't know, a little offended. And I just didn't, maybe this is me thinking too much about it, but I didn't really care for that, glossed over a little bit too satirically. And it caught me off guard. It just really caught me off guard when he said that. And then also, like I said, I just really felt like I was, every time I came to this book, it felt like a chore and I was making myself read it. I wasn't as engaged with the information that was being communicated. And I realized that a group of people, or a couple that was able to create this empire of a store and revitalize fashion industry in this way, or the clothing industry, department store industry, is really cool. But for me personally, it's kind of like, and that's just to quote Abby from Love on the Spectrum, but it is very interesting, but I'm not very interested. So with all that being said, I'm going to put this down. But I say all that to say that I need to find another book to read. Currently, I have about, I think we are down to 10 books. I'm guessing 10 books. Yeah. I'm going to put the number 10 in the random number generator, and then we're going to figure out what book is next for the vlog. Decrease the brightness a bit. Maybe that'll help us. Oh yeah, that's better. Okay. We're at 8, as you see. Oh gosh. Oh, I hit it twice, I think. I'm so sorry. Okay. This time for real though. This time for real. Okay. Oh my gosh. This lighting is so bright. I don't even know. Oh, here we go. Hope you see that. I'm so sorry. It's 5. I promise it's a 5. I'm not making that up. Okay. Number 5 is, 5. I'm gonna lift this up first so you can, 5 is gonna be, oh, brightness is bothering it. Caraval by Stephanie Garber. It is set, I believe, around a circus. And there are different characters that relate to, I don't know, I know there's a jack of all trades kind of thing, so dealing with cards. I know little to nothing about this book other than that it's popular. I don't really do that well with mainstream popular books. So we'll see. If I actually enjoy this, then I'm more than likely going to go on and read the rest of the series. So Sabita here, who you can see here if you can't, yeah. One of my favorite authors, she blurbed this book. Roshni Chokshi has blurbed this book as well. I'll let you know when I read my 50 pages, and I'll get back to you about whether I'm going to keep it or get rid of it. I am back with another update. I have read about 40-ish pages of Caraval, and I am enjoying it. This book seems like a fantasy book. We're following two sisters. Main sister we're following is the older sister, Scarlett, and she is constantly looking out for her younger sister. Oh, what's her name? Donatella, but she calls her Tella. Anyways, they are in a tricky situation where they are trying to escape their home for a particular reason, and they have just always wanted to check out the Caraval performers that is led by the Grand Master, whose name is Legend, and constantly reaching out to Legend to see if they can visit or that the performers can visit her island to perform. But there is a system in place where there are some conquered isles, and that's where she lives, and the Empire really doesn't take care of or really do anything with people from the conquered isles. And so he ends up extending an invitation to them, but they can't do it they can't do the performance on her isle. She would have to leave, and a couple different events happen from there. So this definitely started off with a bang. I am very intrigued by the story. I wanted to keep reading, which is always a great sign, and I now have to find another book to see if I'm going to keep it or get rid of it, because I'm definitely keeping this one. Okay, we have 9 books left in the stack, so let's see what the random number generator has in store for us. I always find like the angle that actually causes the light to be inopportune. 8. Okay, book number 8 is Cold-Blooded Liar by Karen Rose. I'm gonna read those pages and we'll see whether this stays or whether it goes. All right, so we have a verdict on Cold-Blooded Liar. I am going to continue to read this book, or at least hold on to it, and I'm not going to unhaul it. Quick premise of the book is that we are indeed following a detective, and she is really skilled at solving cold cases, and she is inspired by some things that happened in her past in order to become this prevalent and successful detective. And that's pretty much where we're at the moment. It does have an interesting twist that I won't reveal, and it's real pretty early on in the story. It's intriguing. It's not the typical mystery that you're used to reading or psychological thriller. There's this turn that I wasn't expecting. So I'm intrigued, and I'm looking forward to reading this more at a later date. So, okay, so you already know the drill. Let's find another book for me to read so we can continue on with this project. We are now down to 8 books. We're making a lot of progress. So this is currently what we have in the random number generator. Hope you can see that. I'm so sorry. One of these days I'll figure this out. Let me see if I lower the via a little bit, if that helps or not, or this might be just because. Okay, I see it. So we got 1 to 8 currently, and so I'm gonna go ahead and hit. I don't even know what I just. Oh, did I hit it twice? I probably did. Okay, we got a 6. All right, so let's see from the stack. Oh, it's a nonfiction book. Okay, so from the stack, I just pulled it literally from my shelf. Ooh, number 6 is this one right here, David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants. This is gonna be interesting to kind of jump into. Probably gonna read, like I said, a couple of pages. Let me see, how many pages is in total? Less than 275 pages. I remember hearing from someone that Malcolm Gladwell, he sets up his books and the audiobooks read like podcast episodes. So I might try to find the audiobook for this. It's kind of older. I want to say it came out in, I don't know. I'm about to look it up and I'm gonna tell you 2013. Whoa, I was really off. So more than likely must have the audiobook out there somewhere for me to get a hold of. And then yeah, I will check back in with you and see if this is a yes or no. All right, guys, I'm coming with you curly fro glasses just because I really need to give you this update on David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. So I read about 38 pages. It's a little bit less than the 50 I typically read, just because I wanted to stay within like at least a few chapters, and I think it would be like 50 pages if I were to go into chapter 2. So it was mainly just chapter 1. And honestly, so far, so good. I did enjoy it. It gives you the background and some of the scientific aspects of the big battle between David and Goliath. And also he sprinkles in some stories of people that I believe he knows personally, or people that he's interviewed that have a similar strategy of David and Goliath, and how David took a different approach than everyone expected him to take. And because of that, it led to his victory. And just giving examples of other people who've taken on a similar strategy to be victorious. So I liked it so far. I listened to the audiobook with it because, like I kind of referenced, I think in the last clip, Malcolm Gladwell, he sets up his audiobooks to be similar to podcasts. And so it kind of sounds like a podcast episode. When you're listening to it, there's different and things going on in the background that, off that vibe. So far, I do like it, so I will be keeping this. This will remain on my shelves. So that means that I got to go back to the drawing board with the number generator to figure out which other book is going to be on the chopping block. So let's do a quick recap of the books that I currently have on the stack. Okay, so you still have The Book Thief, The Inheritance Games, Nefertiti, John Green's The Fault in Our Stars, Mirage, The Guest Room, and The Last Russian Doll. I actually saw someone post a review, was it yesterday or today? Earlier today, of The Last Russian Doll. And so I'm like, oh, okay, people are still like reading this book or are interested in this book. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, so I have about 7 books still in the stack. So let's go ahead and pull out our number generator to figure out what's the next book we're going to be reading. Okay, let's see. We are down to 7 books. So I think you can kind of that. That's the number 4 there. So hold on, let me clip my mic so it'll be a little bit easier. There we go. All right, so we got a 4. Let's go ahead and find out what is going to be our, maybe if I tilt, do like that, maybe it'll be a little bit better. No, it got worse, never mind. All right, so we have a 4 here. So we're gonna go ahead and hit generate. And we got a 6, okay. I think that was, what book was that? What book was that? Oh, The Guest Room, okay. Okay, the random number generator selected The Guest Room by Tasha Silva. This is an arc that I have had for almost 2 years now. Or at least I've had it for longer than 2 years because it was an arc for a July 2023 release, and I still have not read it yet. But this is, I believe, a thriller. Yeah, this is a thriller, and it is set in London. It says Tess has a bad habit. She can't stop snooping through her guest belongings. So I think she's like a landlord or a bed and breakfast owner, some kind. And I guess she goes through her guest stuff and discovers something she's not supposed to. So yeah, it's like a thriller. I don't know what time of year this is set in. I'm not always a seasonal reader, but there's sometimes when I read a book and I'm kind of like, man, is this like more of a fall read or is this a good read for the summer? I think thrillers are always good to read in the summertime. But her boots scuff louder. Okay, this is definitely set in like the fall of some time, but this was supposed to be published in the summertime. So anyways, I'm gonna be giving this book a try. I'm probably gonna read a couple of chapters just to kind of get a feel for the characters and the setting of the book, and then I will come back with my thoughts. All right, so I am back with my thoughts on The Guest Room, at least the first few pages of The Guest Room. And yes, I am enjoying it. I've stopped at like chapter 6, which is about exactly 50 pages into the book. And so far, I am enjoying this book. Again, I'm really surprised by how many books that I have in this stack that I literally have not even thought about for the past, 2 years, 3 years. This book literally I've had on my shelf for almost 2 years and I have not even thought to pick it up. And yet, it's pretty interesting once I get into it. So anyways, a quick little synopsis on this one. We are following Tess, and she has a younger sister? She has a sister, and her sister, I think, went missing. I'm not sure if she went missing or if she just, you know, passed away, but it's not super clear, at least from what I got in the story, but in any case, she's no longer with us in the story, and Tess is very obviously grief-stricken, and she has been left behind in London. This is set in London, and her family is in Spain to cope. Her parents are in Spain to cope with the loss of her sister, while she's staying in London because that's where her and her sister lived, and her sister has a flat or an apartment in London, and she wants to rent out the room. So she's been renting out the room, I think, for the last couple of months to different people. Kind of, they call it B&B, so it's like an Airbnb kind of situation, but you're renting out the room. And she's had constant, you know, short-term renters come through there. One thing about Tess that's a little bit unhinged, that kind of makes this story not your typical mystery or even a grief story, is that Tess is a little unhinged. And I say that because she goes into the room, the guest room, because the guest room is her sister's old room, Rosie's old room, and that's the room that she's renting out because I guess it has an ensuite bathroom, and also because Tess just can't sleep in that room, so she rents that one out. And anyways, when the guests are not in the room, she goes through their belongings, like she goes through their stuff, you know, backpacks, their whatever stuff. She goes to the room and goes through their stuff. Every single one of them, she does that. And it's this weird fascination. She doesn't explain why she does this, but it's just, I think it's more so the adrenaline. She did say that, like, adrenaline rush, like the fact that, like, at any moment they could come in and find her looking through their things or whatever. So yes, I can get into a slightly peculiar narrator. It kind of reminded me of The Girl on the Train. I didn't read that book, but I watched the movie, and the narrator was like more of an unreliable narrator kind of situation, but similar thing where like the narrator was just kind of strange and did things that you're like, why are you doing this? This is not a good idea. But obviously that's what propels the story. That's kind of how I feel about Tess. Was not expecting to like this story or to really be engaged with it as much, but it definitely is very, like, it keeps you on your toes. I got through to 50 pages very quickly. Yeah, I'm gonna keep this book. I'm gonna hold on to it for a little bit longer. Out of the remaining 6 books that I have, I'm trying to think of which ones that I wouldn't necessarily want to keep. Like, I've said that obviously about a lot of these books that I've kind of read through so far, but, or I guess which book I'm most excited to kind of get. I think the one that I'm most excited to get into would probably be this one because it is a fantasy standalone, and I feel like I haven't read that many of them. Or I think this is a fantasy standalone. I could be completely wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure this is a fantasy standalone. And I realize I don't read enough of those. A lot of times when I read fantasy books, they're either very long, they're usually series, and they're long series. Like, obviously I'm reading through The Wheel of Time, slowly but surely, but still doing so. That would be really cool if I got to pick this one up. And then obviously the book thief, because I've been reading a lot of historical fiction, and the most popular genre I would say in historical fiction is World War II, or books set in World War II, and I have not read that many books set during that time period. So that'd be kind of cool to kind of read another book in that genre. But anyways, let's go ahead and pick up my phone to look at the random number generator and see which book I will be reading next. 6 books, that's insane. We are making our way through this little by little. All right, so, all right, we are at, I don't know if you can see, this glare has been getting on my nerve every time I try to do this. Oh gosh, let me put this stack down because it's like about to fall off me. Okay, so is this visible? I think so. Okay, so you see 9, don't pay attention to that. I just changed the, oh, okay, of course. I just changed the thing, so let me go ahead and 4. Okay, we got the number 4. So we are going to, wow, okay, my phone just fell. All right, we're going to be giving The Fault in Our Stars by John Green a try. I'm excited about this one. I'm a little nervous because I have heard really good things about this book and the movie itself. Obviously, it's a New York Times bestseller, made into a movie, all that jazz. John Green is a very beloved author, so this is gonna really show, like, am I gonna be a John Green fan? Actually, one of my favorite authors is a huge John Green fan, so yeah, I'm kind of nervous this one. And it's also YA, and I still read YA, I still enjoy YA, but I haven't read as much YA as of recently. So hopefully I still enjoy the genre. Because I've mostly been more new adult, I would say, than actual YA. But yeah, we'll see how this goes, and I will obviously give you my thoughts when I'm 50 pages in. Alrighty, I'm back with my hair kind of out. I'm like trying to figure out if I should just make it crazier or leave it as it is. Anywho, he didn't come to talk about hair. He came to talk about this book. The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. I honestly, okay, here's the thing. I personally was expecting to like this book, but to be a little bit indifferent towards it, if that makes sense. Like to see, okay, I see why people like it, but if this book is for me. It's young adult, as I said, and I wasn't sure if it would be a little bit too young adult for me, but I think this is a very well written book. I think it's very funny to me. It's very smart. The main characters, Hazel and Atticus. Hazel, both of them have a form of cancer. Atticus, this is not To Kill a Mockingbird. Augustus had a type of bone cancer, and then Hazel is recovering from a thyroid cancer that affected her breathing, and that's why she has to be on a breathing, or she has to have oxygen that she utilizes. But anywho, they meet in a support group, get this mainly Hazel's point of view. She's the main character here, and we get a little bit of her backstory about her her disease, but also how she's coping and living with it, how her disease affects how she interacts with her previous friends in her school. She's currently out of school. She got her GED. She's in college classes now. But I think a lot of that, because they're both readers and things like that, they tend to have a lot of smart, really somewhat dark humor, sometimes somewhat quick-witted, and I appreciate that in this book. And it was really sweet. There's some parts, like, you know, this is not really a spoiler, but like Augustus is really into Hazel. Like, he meets her and is immediately like, I need to get to know you. I want to know all about you. And there's this like desire that's there just to kind of get to know her as much as possible, to know everything about her, to spend time with her. And she's really taken aback because she's never had a guy take interest to her in this way before. She even mentions it, and when they first meet, like when there's a difference between like a regular guy staring at you and then when a hot guy stares at you. And yeah, so that was really cute. And they're bonding over their love of books and like texting back and forth about their love of books and of particular books that they've recommended to each other. So like as a reader, like this is definitely my cup of tea. I'm really enjoying that part of it. But yeah, I got up to like, I don't have the marker here because I was listening to the audiobook, but I believe I got past page 50, and I think so. Yeah, I got past page 50, and I did, yeah, I'm like at 57 or something like that. I say all that to say this is another one that's staying with me, at least for a little bit longer on my shelves. All right, let's go into our random number generator. We have now 5 books that I need to go, not that, random number generator. All right, number 5. So I'm gonna put this brightness down a bit, see if that helps me with the glare. I think it does. Okay, we're just gonna go ahead and take advantage of this. 3. All right, book number 3. Oh, okay. Is Nefertiti, Unlocking the Mystery Surrounding Egypt's Most Famous and Beautiful Queen. Yeah, the same rules apply. I'm going to try this out, and if I don't, you know, feel like I'm going to actually continue it or want to continue it in the future, I can just let it go. It's not a big deal. Anyways, this is the book of the moment right now. I will return with my thoughts. Okay, I'm back, and I have thoughts on Nefertiti. So I'm going to be keeping it, spoiler alert, I read 36 pages of it. I haven't quite got to the end of the first chapter. The way that the information is communicated, it's very easy for, I think, anyone to read. Is very entry level. There aren't any special words. Most that might be like hard to pronounce is some of the names maybe, but other than that, it's definitely for a more modern audience, if that makes sense. There's discourse around the roles of the queens in the ancient Egypt civilization and their placement in the hierarchy, and how Nefertiti's father-in-law, his relationship with his wife was different than the rest of the other previous pharaohs. The fact that he actually elevated her to be kind of like equal to him in a lot of the decision making, their roles in religion, and all of that. So far it is intriguing, it's interesting, and I think that it's a great find. So like I said, I will continue reading this one, and that means that we have to find another book for me to try and see if I can keep it or unhaul it. But before we get into the next round of using the random number generator to figure out which book I'll be reading, I need to address the elephant in the room, and that is we are down to 3 books. Well, the last time that I think we spoke, I had 4 books in this pile. One of them being The Book Thief by Marcus Suzak. And yes, long story short, I started reading this and I'm almost finished. Yeah, I liked it enough to keep reading it. I'm probably going to finish it before the end of this month. So, look out for my mini review on that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. So this is another book that I will be keeping. All right, so let's get into the last 3 books and see which one I will be picking up to read next in this vlog. Okay, so we are at 3 books. Let me see if there's a way for me to... Oh, no. There we go. All right, so you see the number 6 here, obviously. And I'm going to be hitting... I don't know how many times I hit it. Okay, I had the number 1. I don't know if that was the first one. I'm so sorry, but that's just the one that I picked up on. And number 1 is going to be The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. This is a book I picked up a while ago, like a long time ago, from a local used bookstore. And the first chapter was intriguing. That's why I ended up purchasing it. But since then, I really haven't desired to pick it up again. So this is a great test to see if I actually want to keep this book. Because I read the first chapter and I liked it enough to purchase the book, I think I'm going to move a little bit past that to maybe I'll read up to I'll at least read like maybe up to chapter 5. I'll read up to chapter 5 and then see how I feel. And then, yeah, we'll see how this goes. I'm going to keep it or let it go. Alrighty, I am back. And I have an update on the Inheritance Games. So yes, I read my 50 pages and I honestly almost didn't want to stop reading this. So obviously that means that we are going to be keeping this book. Yay! The TBR is still very long, but that's okay. That's all right. So this book, if you have not heard about it, this is pretty much what the vibe that I was getting from this is Knives Out. Like a Knives Out style mystery where we have this young girl, Avery, really smart, super smart. She barely tries in school, really. And literally she can go from getting a 98 to 92 if she just barely studies. Her mom passed away when she was like a few years back in this timeline. And she now lives with her sister, who is working as a orderly at a nursing home, I think. And Avery works as a waitress in a diner. And so they're really struggling to make ends meet. But she gets this mysterious letter and it leads her to meeting this very well-off family. And there's a lot of drama. There's a lot of underlying animosity between the different members of the family. There's a couple people that are deemed as like black sheep or not, are misunderstood. And she's kind of caught up in this unnecessarily. Like she just doesn't want to be involved with it, but she's just been asked by this family to come because there's a reading of the will and she has to be there in order for them to all know what they are going to inherit. And that's where I'll stop. But if you've watched Knives Out, you kind of have you can possibly get an idea of where I'm going with this description. I read the first 50 pages after work one evening, and I was literally about to keep reading it, but then I remembered that I need to pause it to share my thoughts. I definitely see kind of for now what the hype is about this book, why people enjoyed this in the series. I think there's like 8 books altogether in the series, which is crazy. With that being said, we are down to only 2 books in this stack. So I think I'm just going to, instead of getting the, random number generator, I'm just going to select one of these 2 books. And I've decided to pick The Last Russian Doll by Christian Lausch, I think that's how you pronounce it. And this is a multi-generational family saga that's following 3 different women over various generations from, I believe, the 1917 revolution all the way up until the last days of the Soviet Union. So if you have been following me on my reviews on Instagram or BookTube, then you already know multi-generational family sagas are my kryptonite. I end up loving them most times, and I just am really interested in that kind of storytelling. So I have a good feeling that I'm going to probably enjoy this book enough to keep it, but we'll see. I might just decide to, I'm pretty sure I saw this at the library or in my library app. So if I do have access to it at the library, I might just unhaul it and eventually get to it, because, I can't really keep everything. I can't keep everything because I don't want to read everything right this second, or I don't see myself even reading everything that I own in the next year and a half. And if I don't feel that way about a book, then I might just let it go. But who knows? I might actually be very surprised by how much I like this book. So, and then just so that I don't have to do a whole other, clip, I might just read that, The Last Russian Doll, at least the first 50 pages, and then read Mirage by Samaya Daud, and, read those 50 pages, and then let you know which of the 2 that I'm going to be keeping, if I'm keeping both or letting go of the both of them. So we'll see. We're coming to the end of this vlog, which is, I'm sure it's something that you're looking forward to. I know I am. Yes, I will be back with another update once I read those, 100 pages altogether. So I'll talk to you later. Alrighty, friends, I am back with news. So I did read my chapters, or 20 pages each, for The Last Russian Doll and Mirage. And I have decided that I will be keeping Mirage and I will be unhauling The Last Russian Doll. So this is a story, from what I remember, because it's been a while, honestly, since I've read the pages, but this is a story where we're following a young lady, and she has a background in Russian, she speaks Russian and English. She, I believe, studied mathematics in school, but she has been wanting to go back to Russia for many years now. Her mom and her sister left Russia when she was a young girl, and so she wants to go back and find out more about her family history. And also there's just a lot of secrets and unknown things that she's kind of working through. And essentially that's all that I got from the story, from the first 20 pages. So it just didn't, as much as you probably can tell from when I described it, it just didn't grab me as much as I would have liked. So yeah, I think I'm okay with parting with this book. And then I read about 20 pages of Mirage by Samaya Daud, and this is book 1 of a duology. I looked that up before I got too invested, but this is set in, I believe, a smaller moon, for the most part, of a big galaxy. So this, from what I gathered from this, it's almost like an Ember of the Ashes or the David Bode trilogy, but set in a space opera. And I got that from the first 20 pages of reading the book. What made me want to continue to own this book was because I saw myself, drawn to this book. I kept wanting to pick it back up. I was intrigued. And so obviously this is a great candidate to stay on my shelves rather than leave it. So I think overall, this was a very productive challenge. I believe I'm gonna give the books that I really enjoyed, but not as much to obviously read right away. I think I will hold on to them for at least another few months, maybe 3 months or so. And if I haven't picked it up after that, I think I'm just gonna let them go. Okay, so it has been quite a few months since the last clip that I had in this vlog. And from the trajectory of what you saw with a lot of my selections on what I was going to keep or unhaul, I wasn't really making much headway in my physical TBR. So we're going to clear all that up. I actually went through the selections that I had for this video and really assessed whether or not I wanted to keep them, whether I picked them up in the last few months since, like I said, that last clip or not. And there were quite a few that I just still have not been that interested in. They've been sitting at the back of my mind for the most part, so I figured it's safe just to let them go. So the books that I'm going to be getting rid of are The Book Thief by Marcus Zusak. I did read this book, I enjoyed it, but I would rather get a newer copy because this one is one that I got from a little free library. David and Goliath by Malcolm Gladwell. While this was intriguing, I feel like I'm more than likely going to be listening to this via audio anyways, so I don't necessarily need to own the physical copy. I already mentioned why I'm not going to be reading or continuing with Wild Company. I really still am not that interested in this book. While I was interested when I first read the first few pages, I have yet to pick it up, and I haven't even thought about these characters in a very long time. I don't even remember much about what I read, so if that tells you anything. This is one that I feel like I could probably get a hold of at the library if I really was interested in it. I do like Jack Reacher's stories via his, TV show and movies, but I have not really felt as engaged or willing to jump into the books. So this one was kind of tough because I did enjoy The Fault in Our Stars, but at least the amount that I read. But again, this is a very popular book, so I feel like if I want to get back to these characters, I can always get them from the library, or get to them from the library, I should say. And then this one, I did read the last couple of pages of this, and like I said, I will be unhauling it. So altogether, that was 7 books that are no longer going to be on my physical TBR, so yay for us. So the final books that I will be keeping at the end of this video are The Inheritance Games by Jennifer Lynn Barnes, Caraval by Stephanie Garber, Mirage by Samaya Dowd, Nefertiti, Unlocking the Mystery Surrounding Egypt's Most Famous and Beautiful Queen by Joyce Tittlesey, and Cold-Blooded Liar by Karen Rose. So I have 5 books that I will be keeping and 7 books that I will be letting go. So thank you so much for watching this very long video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did enjoy it, go ahead and like the video. And if you like other videos kind of in this style, or if you watch other videos and you enjoy them from me, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and become a part of the fam. And make sure to hit your notification bells just in case you don't want to miss any of the videos as I upload. And thank you again, and have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. Take care.